Horror lovers, remember The Nun? Let me guess, the name sent chills down your spine. Well, the second installment of The Nun has started filming. The writer of The Nun 2, James Wan, has shared first set photos. What information do we have on the release date, the cast, and the storyline of The Nun 2? Watch this video to the end for details on these. Quick information about The Nun. The demon nun, Valak, was initially introduced in 2016's The Conjuring 2, and she immediately established herself as a mainstay of the big screen. The nun's horrible habit was the most often worn Halloween costume this year, giving the impression that she was following you everywhere you went. Warner Brothers making its own spin-off movie was obviously inevitable, given the success of The Conjuring. Sister Irene was assigned to a remote monastery that was under siege from an unnamed evil force in the ingeniously titled horror movie The Nun. Spoiler alert, it was Valak, and Sister Irene was lucky to escape the ghoul unscathed. The Nun was a major smash and broke the previous box office record for the Conjuring series, despite receiving mixed reviews. There would undoubtedly be a sequel, but 4 years had passed with no word of Valak's return. So what's going on with the disgusting abbess? But don't be concerned, we have information you require for Nun 2. The Nun 2. Where will it fit in the Conjuring world? With the movie supposedly taking place in 1956, The Nun 2 would rank as the third chronological story in the Conjuring universe. It would also be set a year after Annabelle creation, which also includes a reference to Valak and the Romanian monastery she came from. This confirms that the sequel occurs around 15 years before the events of the first The Conjuring, in which Vera Farmiga's Lorraine Warren first saw Valak while working with Patrick Wilson's Ed to try to exorcise the demon from a man whose name was previously merely Maurice Theriault. With Jonas Bloquet's Frenchie getting attacked by the demon in the movie's final scene, and a recreation of the footage shown in the initial The Conjuring with Bloquet now portraying Frenchie in the place of Christophe Vaillant, viewers would now come to learn how Maurice came under the control of Valak in The Nun. Given that Father Burke, played by Demian Bichir, and Sister Irene returned to civilization at the first conclusion of The Nun, it will be intriguing to see how Frenchie does in The Nun 2. Since Bloquet is returning for the sequel, it seems equally likely that Sister Irene will attempt to expel the demonic spirit from her friend, but fail. Some have theorized that Valak may briefly possess another character in order to avoid a timeline conflict regarding her and Frenchie's connections to the first Conjuring. On September 8, 2023, The Nun 2 will be released in theaters, so only time will tell. Next, James Wan's Malignant shows The Nun 2 can avoid the mistakes of the first film. The Nun 2 should now turn to Malignant for the success formula, since it has unanticipatedly been given the chance to relaunch the Conjuring universe. Bloody Disgusting's announcement that Michael Chavez will be helming The Nun 2 has sparked speculation about what this The Conjuring prequel will bring to the table. The Nun 2 appears to be on track to avoid The Nun's flaws before it ever enters production, because Akela Cooper, one of the geniuses behind Malignant, is already attached to write the screenplay. In 2018, The Nun joined the Conjuring universe and made an effort to peer behind the curtain of one of the most alluring monsters in the series. Unfortunately, it was unable to adhere to a consistent tone. Its creepy, haunting beats were frequently and abruptly broken up by jump scares and ridiculous animals. Despite The Nun's commercial triumph in the Conjuring universe, the movie was a colossal flop on the review front. On the other hand, Malignant from 2021 was a huge hit. Malignant jumped right in with a quick-paced plot, over-the-top gore effects, and a jaw-dropping twist rather than skirting around its absurd topics. Unexpectedly, Malignant and The Nun were produced by the same company, and James Wan, who is most known for launching the Conjuring franchise in 2013, served as the film's director. In light of this, if The Nun 2 adopts the audacious storytelling strategy exemplified by Malignant, it may defy the reputation of its predecessor and revive the Conjuring universe. Malignant was an unapologetically scary movie that expertly combined elements of paranormal possession and nail-biting detective thrillers. Dario Argento's influence on Malignant was evident throughout the entire movie. Malignant also used its plot and characters to deftly navigate the aforementioned subgenres, a level of nuance that The Nun 2 must strive for in order to redeem itself from the negative reputation of its predecessor. Akela Cooper and James Wan's rekindled collaboration offers The Nun a second shot. The 2018 horror movie had some fleetingly excellent moments, but the majority of them were undermined by so many cheesy jump scares that the intensity in each one was afterwards diminished. In this manner, The Nun might have been the best sequel to The Conjuring if it could have stuck to its tempo without questioning its scares. It merely serves as another illustration of how terrible The Conjuring's emphasis on spin-offs is. But The Nun 2 will undoubtedly continue the pattern of legendary casting for the series that began with The Conjuring thanks to Bonnie Aaron's confirmed return as the titular nun, and Tessa Farmiga's admission that she would be open to reprising her role as Sister Irene via The Hollywood Reporter. Aarons and Farmiga made the most out of every bit of potential in the Nun's lackluster script, and if their characters receive the same level of dedication as Gabriel and Madison did in *Malignant*, the ongoing conflict between Sister Irene and the evil nun might end up being unforgettable. The Nun will ultimately be remembered for the errors it made while building upon The Conjuring's strong foundation. The Conjuring universe, however, is still full of possibility thanks to that same foundation, and if The Nun 2, directed by Akilah Cooper and James Wan, can recapture the enchantment of *Malignant*, the series will reach the heights it did in 2013. The cast, plot, and release date of The Nun 2. The lead nun Valak will once again be played by Bonnie Aaron's. That is not that surprising. After all, the titular wicked sister is a necessary component of any film about nuns. In addition, Tessa Farmiga, who most recently appeared fighting Valak in St. Cartha's Monastery in Romania, will reprise her role as Sister Irene. Michael Chavez, a seasoned series director who also helmed The Curse of La Llorona and The Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It, will put Akilah Cooper's script in front of the camera. Cooper has had a vast record of literary accomplishments to his name, including Grimm, Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, and James Wan's *Malignant*. The main question is whether the real-life paranormal investigators Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, who play the Warrens in the horror series, will return. The storyline for The Nun 2 has not yet been completely disclosed. Having said that, we have a one-line summary from the Cast It Talent casting website. A priest is killed in the film, which is set in 1956 France, while evil permeates neighborhoods. This will apparently cause Sister Irene to again come face-to-face with the demonic power Valak the Demon Nun. We'll take that even though it sounds a little blurry, because it sounds properly spooky. On September 8, 2023, The Nun 2 is slated for release. Following the decision to postpone Aquaman 2, Warner Brothers changed the release dates for other films, including The Nun 2. Next, James Wan shares a behind-the-scenes photo for The Nun 2, as filming for the Conjuring universe sequel has started. The highly awaited sequel to The Nun has started filming in France, as James Wan, the director of the first two movies in the series, announced on Instagram. This marks the start of the latest chapter in the Conjuring cinematic world. The post includes a behind-the-scenes image of a priest character in a dimly lit setting with a film slate covering his face, in addition to the announcement that The Nun 2 had started filming. Wan's message teases fans with the return of the recognizable iconography associated with the franchise, even if it didn't provide any further narrative details for the planned sequel. As the movie's release date draws near, more information is probably going to be made public. As the legendary and terrifying titular creature returns to frighten viewers on September 8, 2023, fans still have time to conjecture and create anticipation. With the release of The Conjuring 2 in 2016, The Nun first frightened audiences. Due to the character's striking look, The Nun quickly became a highlight of the movie for many. Since the character's introduction, The Nun has become an iconic part of the Conjuring series, enjoying popularity comparable to that of the Annabelle doll. The character's popularity eventually prompted the creation of a spin-off movie, The Nun, which made a successful box office debut in 2018 and earned $365.6 million globally despite receiving mixed reviews. With the announcement of a sequel, fans can once again experience the intense horrors associated with the cherished series. We hope the second installment of The Nun is scarier and of even higher quality than the last one. What other movies do you want us to feature? Inform us through the comment section. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you for watching.